I don't normally talk about my legal profession, but I got a few things to say after a very sleepless week getting our mutual friend Heavy D Sparks out of jail. To be clear, this is not a crime. There is no crime alleged or charged in this matter. This is strictly a civil matter. They sue him, as the judge properly stated today, a judge who, by the way, I have great respect for, potentially $114 million. Think of that. 20 trucks, talking $5 million per truck. There is no basis in rationality.
I have a few things to say regarding my legal profession, which I don't usually discuss. Getting our mutual friend Heavy D Sparks out of jail after a very restless week. This is not a crime, to be clear. In this case, no crime has been accused or charged. This is a civil matter only. As the judge correctly said today, they sue him. $114 million for a judge whom I, incidentally, greatly admire. Consider that. 20 trucks, each worth $5 million. There isn't any rational foundation. The entire diesel community has been rocked by Heavy D's words, who is the man behind wild builds, enormous vehicles, and overwhelming energy. He disclosed that he is selling everything while standing inside his enormous Utah shop, which is filled with screaming machines and custom rides valued at millions of dollars. However, does this imply that Heavy D will be permanently departing from the Diesel brothers? Why would he take such a drastic step? As we uncover what transpired and how this unexpected turn of events may permanently alter the Diesel brothers, stay tuned. The big news. The Diesel brothers community was surprised by a shocking revelation made by Heavy D, whose real name is Dave Spars. The man known for operating Sparks Motors and creating crazy trucks made an unexpected announcement. He is selling everything. Social media was blown away by the announcement. It was unbelievable to friends, fans, and even detractors. Why would one of the most prosperous bespoke builders in America abruptly decide to sell everything in his shop, including million-dollar creations, to fund his personal equipment? Heavied initially referred to it as a huge garage sale. It wasn't your normal weekend sale, though. This was a full-scale diesel empire liquidation. Everything was abruptly raised, including large trucks, heavy machinery, tools, and personal belongings, for sale. However, before you freak out, this is not a fantastic purchase. Heavy D claims that the reason for the sale isn't that he's resigning or broke. It's because significant changes are on the horizon. He claims that all of this is a component of an audacious new business strategy. He claims that he is making room for ambitious new endeavors and projects that will fundamentally alter his business. He clarified that Sparks Motors was not going out of business. It was changing. He made a suggestion that a significant event that would alter our entire approach was imminent. However, what did that actually mean? He remained silent. Fans began to notice something odd at that point. Heavy D didn't appear to be the self-assured person he usually is. Not the same man who once led a mob of roaring engines, smiled, and joked. He appeared tight, worn out, and possibly even afraid. He continued to look away from the camera, and his voice cracked a little. Rumors spread like wildfire as viewers flooded the comment sections with queries. According to some, he had to sell everything due to financial difficulties. It was a legitimate action, according to some. Some even thought the Diesel brothers had finally broken up. However, the big sale was about to start when the true stunner happened. Abruptly, it was canceled. The sale was delayed because of outside influences and those who wanted to see them fail, according to a post. The message conjured up a picture of adversaries battling Heavy D unidentified individuals attempting to undermine him. However, something completely else was taking place behind the scenes. A federal court granted an order in January 2025 prohibiting Dave Sparks from selling or transferring any of his assets, including cars, real estate, and even personal belongings, without the judge's approval. The reason was that he still owed millions of dollars in unpaid fines from years of environmental lawsuits. These issues weren't brand new. Since about 2020, the Diesel brothers have been embroiled in legal disputes after being charged with breaking clean air regulations by altering and marketing trucks that were said to emit excessive amounts of pollutants. The pressure persisted, the fines mounted, and the legal bills increased. Therefore, the court took Heavy's post that everything must go seriously. Too seriously to ignore. He uploaded a video promoting the sale, according to the evidence, and the judge quickly intervened to freeze his assets once more. The court upheld its ruling by July. Until those debts were paid off in full, Heavy D was prohibited from moving, selling, or giving away any property. Officially, the deal was halted. In reality, what fans perceived as an enigmatic delay was a legal halt. It all began in 2017. Years later, Heavy D and the Diesel brothers would be haunted by the litigation. A seemingly ordinary day in their Utah garage quickly became a legal nightmare that would haunt them for nearly 10 years. Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment, an environmental organization, brought the lawsuit. They made a grave accusation. By removing emission control devices from diesel trucks and subsequently selling those modified vehicles, they said the Diesel brothers had violated the Clean Air Act on multiple occasions. The lawsuit claims that these vehicles were emitting hazardous pollutants into Utah's already poor air, up to 30 times the amount permitted by federal law. The hammer fell by March 2020. Judge Shelby decided in the environmental group's favor, concluding that the Diesel brothers had indeed gone too far. Heavy D and his team were ordered by the court to cease altering or marketing any trucks with modified emission systems. They were also ordered to pay more than $850,000 in legal fees. However, it didn't stop there. The court determined that none of the payments had been made by 2024. The first contempt order, a formal warning that might eventually result in something far worse, was issued at that time. The judge's tolerance was exhausted. The fines had accumulated and the court struggle had gone on for too long. The result was a startling one. Dave Sparks was placed under arrest. Heavy D finally revealed himself in a YouTube video. His eyes and voice conveyed the weariness of a guy who had been fighting for years. "The lawsuit has been an absolute," he stated. Nightmare. He was telling the truth. A love for creating crazy diesel machines has devolved into a court battle that almost destroyed everything. Brotherhood, daring, and unadulterated horsepower have been the foundation of Heavy D and Diesel Dave's empire for years. They became global TV celebrities after starting off as backyard builders. They had an unstoppable brand. However, fame comes with its own set of demands. With millions of people watching, every error, lawsuit, and rumor is more devastating. And now they appear to have succumbed to that pressure. However, Heavy D isn't giving up. He made it apparent that this isn't the end in spite of everything. The moment has come for a change. The sale, or what's left of it, is part of a big restart for my company, he told his admirers. According to Heavy D, Sparks Motors is embarking on a new phase that will be centered on innovation and bigger initiatives that go beyond custom diesel trucks. He clarified that he is not shutting down his company but would not disclose many details at this time. Heavied has already encountered legal issues. The Diesel brothers' reputation was nearly ruined by the initial lawsuit. However, what actually transpired in that instance? Preserving the name. The Diesel brothers were involved in a case that nearly wrecked their reputation prior to the court orders, arrests, and environmental challenges. The Diesel brothers weren't squabbling over pollution or engines in 2017. It was over a name this time, their name. Fans have taken to Diesel Power Gear, their apparel line. The emblem was worn by people everywhere, demonstrating their passion for diesel trucks and the associated way of life. However, on the other side of the globe, the Diesel SPA, a multinational fashion conglomerate famous for its jeans and luxury clothing, was not pleased. Customers might become confused by the Diesel brothers' usage of the word, according to the Italian corporation. They contended that consumers might believe the diesel power equipment was endorsed or affiliated with the original diesel brand, which had been a trademark since the 1970s. The Italian diesel was supported by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. The Diesel brothers refused to give up after Diesel Power Gear's bid to trademark their brand name was denied. They continued to use the moniker Diesel despite claiming it was an integral part of their identity and who they were. It initially appeared to be just another legal dispute. However, things deteriorated throughout the years. Judge Jennifer Rochon's final decision, rendered in October 2022 following years of legal back and forth, was a powerful blow. The court claimed that the Diesel brothers had intentionally violated the name. To put it plainly, the judge thought they knew they were violating trademark restrictions, yet they still did it. The Italian diesel brand claimed that they should get all diesel Power Gear sales and sought damages totaling over $59 million. The Diesel brothers retaliated, claiming that the fee was unjust. They maintained that their charges and expenses ought to be taken into account and that their goal was to forge their own identity rather than imitate others. Even if the court eventually lowered the sum the next year, it was still terrible. A $1 payment order was issued to Diesel Power Gear, $8 million in losses. A big financial and emotional damage, but a far cry from the first accusations. The case was more than just a financial dispute for Heavy D and his team. It was a struggle for all of their possessions, including pride and reputation, worked for,